that good-looking group of people. My fellow Americans, this is one of the most important American history.
So 67 for Vietnam, Taiwan, Japan, India, but the numbers were so big.
They said it would save American jobs. They promised it would bring factories back, punish foreign cheaters, and make the U.S. economy stronger than ever. But now, years later, a quiet confession is unfolding behind closed doors in Washington. The very people who designed the tariff war are beginning to admit, maybe it wasn't such a brilliant idea after all. Welcome to TVAI, the channel that brings you deeper into the headlines shaping our world. Today's story comes from the heart of America's trade and economic policy. It's about tariffs, politics, and the slow, awkward realization that ideology doesn't always match reality. Former chair of the Council of Economic Advisors, Kevin Hassett, recently delivered a striking critique. The Trump administration is slowly waking up to the reality of what its own policies have caused. This isn't coming from a political opponent or a liberal think tank. This is a former top Trump official, now publicly acknowledging that the administration's aggressive tariff strategy may have backfired. Let's rewind. When Donald Trump first took office, he made one thing crystal clear. He would no longer tolerate what he saw as unfair trade deals. Under the banner of America First, he launched a sweeping wave of tariffs against imports from China, the European Union, and even traditional allies like Canada and Mexico. From steel and aluminum to washing machines and solar panels, imported goods became targets of what he described as an economic revolution. Supporters called it bold. Critics called it reckless. But what can't be denied is that the effects were immediate and wide-ranging. Prices for imported goods rose. Supply chains got disrupted. American companies that relied on foreign components started to feel the squeeze. And despite the tough talk, the global response wasn't exactly submission. Countries hit by U.S. tariffs responded with their own retaliatory measures, slapping tariffs on American exports like soybeans, bourbon, and Harley-Davidsons. The result? A complicated economic tug-of-war. And in the middle of it all, American businesses and consumers began to feel the pain. Fast forward to today. Hassett's remarks shine a light on a pattern that's been unfolding for months. The Trump administration has been quietly approving thousands of tariff exemptions for select companies. These exemptions allow businesses to bypass the very tariffs that were supposedly essential to protecting the U.S. economy. If tariffs are such a powerful tool, why are so many companies begging and being allowed to avoid them? That's the million-dollar question. And the answer might lie in a simple truth. The tariffs were not as effective or surgical as advertised. Take the auto industry, for example. U.S. car manufacturers import countless parts from abroad. When those parts are taxed, production costs increase. That means higher prices for consumers and slimmer profit margins for companies. To avoid layoffs, price hikes, or even bankruptcy, companies apply for exemptions. The government approves them. And just like that, the trade wall full of holes starts to look more like a patchwork of contradictions. But it's not just the auto sector. From electronics to agriculture, countless industries have filed for relief. And while some were granted exemptions, others were left out in the cold. Critics argue that the process lacks transparency and fairness. Some suspect political favoritism. Others say it's just a logistical nightmare. And then there's the broader impact on the economy. Studies from institutions like the Federal Reserve and the Brookings Institution have consistently shown that the majority of tariff costs were borne not by foreign producers, but by American consumers and businesses. In other words, the policy meant to punish other countries ended up punishing Americans instead. Now, Hassett's comments don't mean the administration is publicly admitting defeat. But they do suggest that behind the scenes, officials are beginning to grapple with the unintended consequences of a strategy that may have looked strong on paper, but stumbled in practice. This entire episode also highlights a fundamental truth about global trade. It's not as simple as buying American and taxing the rest. We live in an interconnected world, where even small businesses depend on international supply chains. Of course, none of this means that America shouldn't stand up for fair trade. There are real issues with intellectual property theft, currency manipulation, and market access in countries like China. But fighting those issues requires targeted intelligence strategies, not economic carpet bombing. So what happens next? There's also a political lesson here. Leaders must be willing to adapt when policies don't work as expected. Clinging to a failing strategy for the sake of pride or political optics only deepens the damage. This story isn't just about economics. It's about humility, accountability, and the importance of governing with both strength and wisdom. Because at the end of the day, policy isn't about proving a point. It's about making people's lives better. And while the debate over tariffs continues to spark headlines, it also serves as a case study for something much larger. The way governments respond to complexity in an increasingly interdependent world. In many ways, this is not just about trade. It's about the challenge of governance in the 21st century. When problems cross borders, so must the solutions. And when the tools of the past, like broad tariffs, are used to fix modern problems, the results are often inefficient, chaotic, and counterproductive. Another overlooked consequence of these tariffs lies in the message they send to allies and partners. Countries like Canada, Germany, Japan, longtime friends of the United States, were hit with the same aggressive measures as geopolitical rivals. This created tension within alliances and raised questions about America's reliability as a trading partner. In some cases, these countries began forging new deals without the U.S., signaling a slow but noticeable shift in global economic alliances. That's a cost that doesn't show up on a balance sheet, but could reshape global power dynamics for years to come. Then there's innovation. American tech firms that depend on affordable components from overseas found themselves facing new barriers, delays, and increased costs. This didn't just affect profits. It slowed product development, limited research investment, and made American innovation less competitive on the global stage. When we talk about the future of technology, clean energy, and infrastructure, these policies don't just affect what we buy today. They influence what gets invented tomorrow. In the end, this is a lesson in feedback. Good policies aren't afraid of criticism. They evolve with it. And perhaps the most hopeful takeaway is this. When former insiders like Kevin Hassett speak up, it gives the public a rare window into the learning process behind the scenes. Whether it's too little, too late, or the start of a smarter economic approach, only time will tell. What's your take on this story? Do you believe the Trump administration's tariff strategy helped or hurt the U.S. economy? Have you or someone you know been impacted by rising costs or business challenges linked to tariffs? Drop your thoughts in the comments. We want to hear your side of the story. And don't forget to subscribe to TVAI for more honest, fact-based reporting on the issues that shape our world. Until next time, stay sharp, stay curious, and keep watching the headlines.